Our objective for today, can solve and graph quadratic equations using square roots. Let's read together. 1, 2, 3. I can solve and graph quadratic equations. So today's going to be the final method of solving quadratic equations. We've already done 4 of them. Today's the 5th one. Today's probably the easiest one of them all.
You don't need a fair amount?
You don't need a fair amount because we're still on what concept? Quadratic equations, right. So, we know what quadratic equations are. That's why we don't need a Fourier model. We do need to write some steps. Write these steps down, please. And notice it has a 5. That's on purpose because we're going to do later on one problem that has everything embedded in it. And this is the 5th step of the whole thing. So just write 5 and then write solve equations and identify 0 roots. And the 2 steps that we're going to use today are isolate the variable and solve using inverse operations. Isolate the variable and solve using inverse operations. Copy that, please. All right, here we go. So, steps. 2 steps that we're going to work on today are isolate the variable, which means leaving the variable by itself. How do we do that? To solve for the variable, we use inverse operations. So, with that said, copy this down. Example 1A. 1A. It says, example 1A, solve using square roots and then check your answer. Equation, x squared minus 169 equals y. Copy that, please. Okay, here we go. Let's do this one together. Whenever we have quadratic equations, what is the first thing we do? We change y into what?
0.
0. This becomes x squared minus 169 equals 0. Now, at that point, we're going to use the 2 steps that we wrote down. Step 1, isolate the variable. We need to leave x by itself. So what do? I need to get rid of this, so I need to add 169 to each side. We're left with x squared equals 169. So now we're going to use inverse operations. Bless you. What is the inverse of a square? Square root. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. This cancels this. X equals plus minus 13. And that's it. These are called solutions, x-intercepts, zeros, roots. Yes?
So we don't have to do sub 1 and sub 2?
Here they are.
No, like, oh, like we don't have to like this?
No, you already got them right here. Let's graph this. Alright. So my roots are what? 13 and negative 13. So 13, negative 13. What is my y-intercept? My y-intercept was negative 169. And my parabola looks like this.
Also, you use the original one still?
Of course.
Okay.
So now let's check to see if it works. Parentheses squared minus 169 equals 0. So which one of these would you like to test? Negative 13 or 13? Doesn't matter because when it's squared, the answer is always positive, right? So I'm going to test negative 13. Negative 13 times negative 13 is 169. Bring down minus 169 equals 0. So this is 0 equals 0, which is true.
Oh, I want to. Oh, okay.
How are we doing? Good?
Magnificent.
Okay, do this next one by yourself. Example 1B. Example 1B, it says solve using square roots, x squared minus 49 equals y. Do that one by yourself. You got 30 seconds. Go. Okay, let's see. Substitute 0 for y. This became x squared minus 49 equals 0, plus 49 plus 49. X squared equals 49. Hands if you did up to right there. Okay, from there we take the square root. X equals plus minus 7. Therefore, our graph should be negative 7, 7. My y-intercept is what? Negative 49. Therefore, my parabola should look something like that. Hands if you got that. That is correct. Copy this next one, please. Example 1C. I want to see how you do again. Go. Example 1C. X squared minus 121 equals y. You got 20 seconds. Go. So, who got x equals plus minus 11? That is correct, and the graph is very similar to the one we did, right? Okay, let's crank it up a notch. Here we go. Example 1D. Copy this one. 1D. X squared equals 0. I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds to see what you do with this. Keep it to yourself, so like that, let people think about it, and then I'll go over this one together. 30 seconds. Okay, here we go. So, we have x squared equal to 0. Our next step, square root, x equals 0. Not plus minus 0, it's just 0.
There's no negative 0.
There's no negative or positive 0. 0 is just 0. So, let's see how the graph looks though. Here we go. So, my x-intercept is at what? 0, which is right here. What is my y-intercept?
0.
Okay, let me show you the original equation. The original equation is x squared equals 0. What is my y-intercept?
0.
0, because it doesn't have a constant, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, the x-intercept and y-intercept are the same. Therefore, my parabola looks like that. It barely touches at 1. I mean at 0. Everybody see that? Thank you. Everybody got it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do another one. Example 1E. Copy this one. X squared plus 16 equals y. Do that one by yourself. Keep the answer to yourself. Let people think. Go. Alright, here we go. Pens down, eyes up here. Writing utensils down, please. Eyes up here. Let me go over something really quick. Here it goes. So the first thing you should have done, substitute 0 for y. This is x squared plus 16 equals 0. Are we there so far? Alright. From there, we subtract 16, we're left with x squared equals negative 16. From there, we take the square root. But one problem here is that we have a negative square root. Therefore, no solution.
Oh. Dang,
Now, check this out. Let's elaborate as to why this is no solution. Look up, please. I remember when we covered real numbers, I said, real numbers we're going to be using all year. Let me show you a non-example of a real number. And I showed you this one. Square root of negative 16. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I said, what does this mean? What number times itself gives us negative 16? You're like, 4 times 4? No, that's a positive 16. How about negative 4 times negative 4? It's still positive 16. Some of you said, well, let's do 1 positive, 1 negative. But that's not the rule for square roots. It has to be the same number. So is there such a number? No. That's why when you guys get to Algebra 2, you will be working with these, and these are called imaginary numbers. Imaginary, because there is no such real number that gives us square root of negative 16. Everybody with me? So, let's think about this question though. There is no solution, but we can still graph it. So check this out. If there are no solutions, what does that mean? Don't say it out loud. Think about it. I've been labeling all my quadratics at the end with something like this. Solutions, right? But for this one, there are none. What does that mean? Talk it over with your neighbors, please. Okay, who's got it? Who can share? Alec, what did your neighbor say? Close. That there's not going to be anything on the graph because there's no solution. You're close. Yes, Taylor.
You're gonna like write like you're gonna just put a dot in the center since like nothing, the zero is nothing.
Close. Check this out. Yes. Well, here it goes.
Let's go.
Look up. What is my y-intercept?
Plus 16.
Plus 16, which is up here.
Oh.
Your square root is negative.
Okay? Let me show you the graph.
Oh, because infinity.
So, what does no solutions mean? That the graph will not cross what?
Oh,
The x-axis.
Okay.
Because solutions were what? X-intercepts. Is that correct? Therefore, here we don't have any x-intercepts. That's why it's floating up here.
Oh.
Everybody see that? Copy that, please.
Oh, Mr. Q. My head just exploded now.
So, before I would write solutions, x-intercepts, so in this case, what would write? No solutions, no
solution, no
x-intercepts,
no roots,
no zeros, no x,
root.
oh, I'm sorry, no roots.
Root.
And by looking at it, you can see that we don't have any x-intercepts, right?
Mr. Q, how many
Okay.
links to the big to the center of it?
Copy this next one, please. Here we go, example 2A. Copy that? Example 2A, solve using square roots, x squared plus 7 equals 7. Do that one by yourself, please. 30 seconds, go.
If for these on the test, if you know that it's gonna equal 0, can we just put like we have to show the work? Can we just put it?
Of course we gotta show the work. Did you just ask me that? Okay. So, what do we do from here? Yeah, go.
You put minus 7x,
Minus 7 to both sides.
and then it's
X squared equals 0. What do we do from there?
from there you do
Square root.
and then x equals 0.
X equals 0. Let's graph this.
You put that, okay, and then you put for
What's my x-intercept?
you put that positive 0.
0. There it is. What's my y-intercept?
Positive 7.
Okay, be careful with this one. Why it said positive 7 because he sees it here. But what do these need to be equal to?
Oh.
0. So here it is equal to 0. So we have x squared equal to 0. So what is my y-intercept? 0, which is also here. So my parabola goes through there.
But if
Oh.
it touches the x-intercept, doesn't that mean like that
Not
is a
touching.
solution?
It is a solution. Here it is. This is my solution.
No, like there isn't an x-intercept if it's touching, right?
There is. If it's touching, there is. What is my x-intercept? What is my solution?
0.
0.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. X-intercept.
It's just one of those though?
Right.
Okay.
0. Root.
Mr. Q, is there anything wrong if I told the man that he
Okay, here we go. So, any questions with this?
no.
Okay, let's move on. Copy this one, please. Example 2B. Okay, let's do this one together. Here we go. Step 1, substitute 0 for y. So this becomes 0 equals 16x squared minus 49. Everyone, next step. Add 49 to each side. Cancel. We got 16x squared equals 49. What's my next step, everyone? No. Is x by itself? No. We need to divide by 16. Divide by 16. X squared equals 49 over 16. And now we do what? Square root. Square root. We're left with x equals plus minus what? 7 over 4. Can we simplify that?
No.
Plus minus 1 and 3/4. So like that we know where to graph our x-intercepts, right? Okay, let's graph it. We got 1, 2, 1 and 3/4 is about right here, right?
Yes.
And -1, -2, -1 and 3/4 is about right here. -1 and 3/4, 1 and 3/4. What is my y-intercept, everyone?
-49.
-49, which is down here. And our graph.
Hey, my root's at the bottom.
There it is.
Oh, what the heck? Mine is
He's going
0.
first.
That's weird.
How we doing right there? Good? Okay. So, for home plate tonight, home plate is found on page 569, and it's basically all practice of this. Okay? So, enjoy your home plate. See you guys tamales.
Wait, that was recorded?
What?
That one was being recorded?
Yes.
You've been recording us for like a week now, huh?
Yep.